a new house, a large house, and a small house.
What are they like inside? This is the Robinsons' house, so come in and have a look with me. This is the living room, or sitting room. I like this room. It's got a nice fireplace. This is where the Robinsons relax. Have a look round. They watch television, play games, or read the paper. They've got some interesting pictures and books too. Well, I'm sorry. We can't stay here. You must look at the other rooms. Come and see the kitchen. This is a very typical British kitchen. A fridge, a cooker, an oven, a microwave, a sink, and a kettle. Kettles are very important. Mrs. Robinson is making some tea. The average British person drinks more than 8 cups of tea per day. The family usually eat here, but sometimes they eat in here, the dining room. This is the room for special meals, like birthdays, dinner parties, and Sunday lunches. Tom's doing his homework here this evening. Well, that's downstairs. What's upstairs? This is Julie's room. And she isn't doing her homework. Hi. Look at all those posters.
This is Tom's room. What's he interested in?
This is their parents' room.
The bathroom. Some British people like having a shower, but most prefer a bath.
And this is Mrs. Robinson's study. She's a writer and she works from home. Over a quarter of British homes have a computer in them now. Look at this. Tom and Julie like using it too.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
A lot of British people really like gardening. What a lovely garden. Oscar! 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 And this is Oscar. He's the 5th member of the family. The British are very keen on pets, not just dogs and cats. Rabbits, birds, and fish are popular too. Of course, not all British people live in homes like this.
About 18% of British people live in flats. And some people live in very different homes, like a castle or a mansion. Some people even live in caravans or on boats.
And this, of course, is the most famous home in Britain, Buckingham Palace. Well, I'm going home now. Hello. What sport do most British people like? Is it football, cricket, rugby, or something else? The answer is very surprising. In this programme, we look at sport, and we begin with some famous sporting venues.
This is Wembley, the scene of some great football matches. All tennis players want to win the tournament at Wimbledon. St Andrews in Scotland is the home of golf. Henley, on the River Thames, is the centre of the world of rowing. And here, in London, is Lord's. It's the headquarters of the game of cricket, a very British game.
But sport isn't only for experts. All over Britain, more and more people are taking up different sports and activities. Swimming's popular. There are over 20,000 public swimming pools in Britain. How often do you go swimming?
I go swimming once a week. I go swimming 3 times a week. I go twice a week.
Why do you go swimming?
Because it's fun. I go swimming because it's fun and it's a great sport.
Lots of people go cycling. Over 1,200 clubs belong to the British Cycling Federation. But the most popular sport in Britain is walking. About 40% of British people go walking. There are 225,000 kilometres of national paths in England and Wales. These people are walking along the Pennine Way. It's a very popular walk, and it's 412 kilometres long. Of course, not everybody walks from the start to the finish. The British love watching sport too, on television and live. Over 55,000 people go to see Manchester United play in Manchester on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Horse racing, motor racing, and rugby are also very popular. Sport is for everybody, young and old. These people are doing aerobics. They do it to keep fit and because they enjoy it.
Some people are more serious about sport. You find people at this club every night of the week. Some are training for competitions. Some are hurdling. And some are running.
Come on, go, go, go! Well done, that was a good time.
Wow, very fast. Most towns and cities in Britain have a variety of sports clubs and facilities, like this athletics club. They often have large sports centres too. And don't forget, in Britain you can also play some unusual and interesting games. Cricket's famous, but what's this?
It's croquet. Originally a French game, it's popular in Britain, especially if you have a large garden. Is this squash? No, it's called real tennis. Modern tennis comes from this game. And what's this? It's a Scottish game called curling. You play it on ice.
Okay, on your marks, get set, go! I must get fit. British people celebrate some festivals, like Christmas and Easter, with the rest of Europe. But some are just British. Here's a very British festival, and a very noisy one.
This is Guy Fawkes Night in Britain. On the 5th of November every year, British people remember Guy Fawkes and his plot to blow up the King and the Houses of Parliament in 1605. That's Guy Fawkes. And here he is under the Houses of Parliament. Some soldiers are arresting him and taking him away. Every November the 5th, British people burn a model of Guy Fawkes. The models are called guys. Children make them out of old clothes. There are lots of fireworks too. What's this? It's Pancake Day. Pancake Day is in February. In some towns, there are pancake races. People throw pancakes in the air and race at the same time. And, of course, they eat lots of pancakes too. Look at these beautiful red roses. And here's a card. Shh, let's have a look. To my darling Julie, with lots and lots of love from... And look, there isn't a name, but look at all those kisses. Why? Because today is a very romantic day. It's St. Valentine's Day. On the 14th of February, people send cards to someone they're in love with, but they don't sign the card. How do you know who it's from? You don't. You guess. Now it's October the 31st, and it's Halloween, a festival of ghosts and witches. People often have parties, and children dress up as witches. But the really important festivals in Britain are Easter and Christmas, especially Christmas. At Christmas, people put up lots of decorations. This is the Robinsons' Christmas tree. They keep their presents under it until Christmas Day.
Happy Christmas.
People often spend Christmas with their families.
Merry Christmas.
On Christmas Day, they give presents to their friends and family. What's Mrs. Robinson got?
Oh, how lovely.
Lucky Mum.
Thank you, darling.
Oh, great.
Poor old Dad's got 4 pairs of socks.
In the morning, a lot of families go to church. They come back home and have a special Christmas dinner. Roast turkey, stuffing, roast potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. These are crackers. You pull at each end, and inside there's a little present, a paper hat, and a joke. Listen to this. Where can you always find a cow? In a museum. Museum. Understand? Oh, sorry. They finish with a traditional Christmas pudding. Sometimes people put a silver coin in it. You don't eat it. It brings you good luck.
After Christmas, there's the last festival of the old year, or the first one of the new year, New Year's Eve. In Scotland, they call it Hogmanay. All round the country, people have parties. And at midnight, everyone sings a traditional song, Auld Lang Syne. In Trafalgar Square in London, there's always a really big party.
Hello. What do the Beatles, David Bowie, and Blur have in common? all of them begin with the letter B, and they're all stars of British pop.
Pop music is big business, not only in Britain, but all over the world. And for many people, English is the language of popular music. Pop musicians, rock musicians, folk, jazz, heavy metal. Most of the world's popular musicians write and sing songs in English.
Pop music started with rock and roll. Rock and roll first became popular in the 1950s in the United States.
The real British pop revolution happened here in Liverpool, in the northwest of England. At the beginning of the 1960s, there were hundreds of bands in Liverpool. They played in pubs and clubs and halls all round the city. Not all of these bands became famous, but one of them, the Beatles, changed pop music forever. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison and Ringo Starr were together for only 8 years, from 1962 to 1970. But in that time they had 18 #1 hit singles and made 11 albums.
Altogether, they wrote over 200 songs, and many of these are still popular now. Other people sing their songs too. There are more than 2,500 recorded